the center of nature concentrated. Or Ali Puli, his Tracte of the regenerated salt of nature. Written in Arabian language by Ali Puli. 1682. Ali Puli the author hereof was an Asian Moor, who after he had left Mahumetan, and received the Christian faith, wrote several small treatises, of which this only came to his hand. And that he himself through a friend's, ounty to him, hath found out several ways, but chiefly one, viz. With 1 part of the regenerated salt to 6,000 parts of lead, the firme out, working to the best gold. Though he saith he never sought riches by his work but only true understanding of the middle points, or universal spirit of all things. Which alone may content a man, that is desirous of the wisdom of nature. Having this it opened many wonderful things to him, he found the universal spirit everywhere, but concentrated only in 2 places, in the great and the little world. In the air, and in man, and in both in the most despicable matter. The one yielded without addition animals, vegetables and metals after that there had been a suitable motion given thereto, but out of the other, he could only produce metals as yet, but never too great value, only sufficient to help the understanding of nature. But he testifieth that Ali Puli in this little treatise hath writ the truth, and that he himself hath made it with his own eyes and hands. The treatise follows. Thou canst daily, yea, every moment see in God's wonderful creation his almighty power, and great wisdom, and mark well this incomprehensible, and wonderful work of God, that out of base metals, as lead, tin, copper, silver, and quicksilver, a better, namely, gold should be made. And that out of one sort of grass, herbs, or fruit, should be made milk, blood, flesh, bones, horn, fat, skin, hair, salt, oil, sour, sweet, corruption, phlegm, water, dung, urine, sand and stone, in the ranus and bladder, together with so many liquors and juices, and lastly, that out of the seed of man, or of beast, without anything else, should a man or beast be made, yea, the last is much more different than the first. Because the correction of the baser metals into more noble, consist always in one sort of nature and essence, viz., that of the metals, but the bread or grass, when it is only eaten, is changed into many sorts of things through the salt of nature in the animals. Here the great secret of nature lies hid, and he that understands this can without hindrance see into the very center of nature, and with God's blessing use the same himself. But while the raising of the people, and preparing the bread, and the green grass in the animals, is so common, and known unto all countrymen, little regard that, but seek to know somewhat new, although far menner. Canst thou apprehend the spirit which in animals works upon all things that come into them, through the motion of the animals, what thou couldst not have performed therewith, if it were by art set in the metals as agent? Many ingenious inquisitive loves of nature, coveting after new things, have indeed tried to do this, but with unsuccessful event. Therefore learn to understand first, which lies before your eyes, before you search into and strive to reach after strange things, that lie deep in the earth. Begin, therefore, the new creation through the Spirit in the matter, and divide it into 3 parts, which 3 afterwards with their working together, should through the flowing out of one alone, be the beginning in all other things, yet that neither of the 3 could subsist without the other 2. Also out of one only chaos, or waterish slime, is fixed, flowing and volatile, body, spirit, and soul, earth, water, and air. The fixed body is too gross for the infused, splendid faculty of motion. The flowing spirit too inconstant, and the volatile spirit too subtle, but when out of their union is born a fourth, a right seat of the body, and center of the power, which properly is no water, because it is a slime full of earth, which can swim upon water, no earth for it floweth and is wet, and no air, because it is wholly palpable and can be still, and yet air, water, and earth together, are born out of all 3. So through the warmth of motion, there springs there out several sorts of creatures, animals, vegetables, and minerals, which at last all go again out of their oneness into the threeness, and become air, water, and earth, so it goes with nature in infinitum. No animal, vegetable or mineral can propagate and marries itself, when its seed neither is nor was a viscous water, all animals increase themselves by slime, that is also the manner in the seed of all vegetables, that little gathering grows there outfert in a slime, the metals and minerals themselves grow out of slime, and must again become slime, should they without any addition in themselves receive in bettering by the artist. When an animal, vegetable, or mineral dies, vanishes away, or is radically shut up, it passes always into a slimy earth, or slimy water, thence it is that the end doth very well agree with the beginning, as the original of all is a slimy water, so by the universal dissolvent everything is resolved at last into a slimy water, which was its first principle. Now in the center of every particular slimy water, there lies hid a concentrated center, which is called the salt of nature. This is the light of the world, and in everything where it dwells, it drives its circumference on to motion, and enlighteneth and upholdeth it in its motion. But this salt itself depends on the divine spirit of nature, on the invisible breath of the divine word, feeds of the same light and is therefore moved. This salt is the spirit that ascends up into the airy heaven and descends down again, that binds and holds the wind in its fists, and gathereth the water in its garment. That saline spirit is the middle thing whereupon the upper and lower hangs, and is abundantly fed by both, and richly imparts to everything its share again. Through it and by its virtue is man conceived and born, through it, and by its virtue do vegetables and minerals grow, through it God doth what he pleaseth in the firmament, in the air, in the earth, in the sea, and in all deeps, through it he makes the clouds to arise from the end of the earth and makes the lightning, together with the rain, and fetcheth the wind from remote places. And this is the instrument whereby God lets himself be fearfully be heard in the clouds, therefore it distills from fat, and it is full of wonderful blessings, without it nothing can subsist. It is everywhere, under, in the middle, and above, the beggar is as well sustained thereby, as the king. Out of this salt, when it is regenerated by the artist proceeds a royal and wonderful thing, that can sweeten all sourness, and better all weakness, it gives health and richesse, and is among temporal things the richest treasure, that Almighty God will bestow upon some of his servants in this life. It is a resemblance of the resurrection and immortality, in its nature and working. It gives unto us the understanding of many great and deep mysteries of the Creator. I have seen therein, as in a glass the image of the creation, the dividing the chaos into several parts, the corporeal seed, or outflowing, the three principles, the separation of the seed of the body into several parts. But this salt, though, as I said before, is everywhere and in all things, according to the measure, number, and weight of each matter, yet nevertheless it cannot everywhere be easily got, neither is it fit for all, out of all things. The learned say, when gold is to be made, it must be done by gold, as golden matter, and the embettering anything cannot spring out of anything, but its like. They hold also, that animals, vegetables, and the virtue of the air, are altogether unfit for the exaltation of metals, because they think that every one of the three kingdoms, as they are called, differ one from another in the very ground of nature. But that is false, they are blind leaders of the blind, for all things grow, and nourish themselves from their own root, and the cause of so manifold differences, is only the different matrices and motions. One sort of virtue feeds the whole world, and fermeth it into thick or thin, sweet or sour, hard or soft, animal, vegetable or mineral. Yet this I must likewise say, the universal spirit of nature, or the saline spirit, although it depends upon the breath of the divine word, and was spoken unto all things, yet it produced nothing more new. But it was only for the upholding and moving the things aforesaid, and work made through the especial breathing word of God, and acted by the divine upholding word. The doctor which make the aforenamed difference between animals, vegetables, and minerals do manifestly contradict it in their daily practice, for they give to an animal viz. To a sick man innumerable mineral and metal medicaments, whereby, when they are prepared without fire and corrosives they are much better, the patient is cured sooner than by other medicines. When he is now cured, it is nothing else but the correction of arid, acrid, acid or degenerate spirits, but no degenerated essence can be corrected, unless the corrigent do radically enter with its best essence in the thing that is to be corrected and unite itself inseparably therewith. And so without contradiction it follows, that the essence of minerals and metals may be united to the essence of animals, and can they be united, so must they in the ground of nature be one, and the difference is only accidental. The crab's eyes, conalilia, thels of shellfish, bet, peat, better sweeten the spirit and vomitive salt of vitriol and much sooner than lime, or any other mineral thing. No aqua fortis can cut asunder gold, when good salt of urine, or sal ammoniac is not added thereto. East Indians make gold pliable and of high color, with cow dung, and bring copper to the highest abiding gold, color with the fat of an animal. With common thin dung of children, or grown men's dung with gentle motion, into the silver, that is separated from the gold, may be brought several grains of gold. Beaten wheat, when it is only laid stratum super stratum with thin plates of silver in a cementing crucible well stopped and burnt red hot in a fire, then in aqua fortis it will yield gold out of the silver. New unsalted butter with a small artifice and instrument doth deprive the red coral of its tincture. The invincible talk lets itself be dissolved and brought into oil by nothing that is known to be so much as by vegetables and especially by animals. The oils and volatile salts of herbs draw the tincture out of brimstone, and how powerful by the spirit, salt, and oil of the vine doth radically work in all minerals, and metals, and opens them, is abundantly known. Without wine and man it is impossible to make a perfect and true tincture of gold. How grass, herbs or bread, which feeds, sustains and repairs the animals and in them are changed into many sorts of things, I have told you before. All countrymen know that the vegetables feed upon the dung and urine of animals, and are thereby fattened and bettered. Man hath in himself alone the strength and virtue of vegetables, and minerals, so manifestly, that oftentimes he must with smart make it known. Are not the great stones and sand that are gathered together in the kidneys and bladder, minerals? Of what do they grow, but from vegetable and animal juices, that men use for food? Hath not gold grown out between the teeth of a dead man's skull? I myself through God's grace, know how to get a matter out of animals, out of which, being prepared after a special manner, do proceed animals, after another manner vegetables, and again being prepared otherwise, minerals or metals, as quicksilver, copper, vitriol, crystal, saturn glass, lead, mineral mud etc., proceed out thereof, and all these without the least addition of any other thing, only out of itself. But I go too far. Whoever will know more of this, must simply and singly seek more in nature. My purpose was only in short words to show you that animals, vegetables and minerals, are essentially one and the same, and are only accidentally distinguished by reason of greater or lesser perfection. And also that the salt of nature is found everywhere, and in all things, in due measure, number, and weight, according to the nature of each particular matter. But it is not easy to get this salt out of everything, nor out of all things to all, especially, to them, to whom the masterpiece of the wise, as it is called, is powerful enough. Therefore it is necessary to choose the best salt out of whole nature. If men would not work in vain, but would attain to the wished for soul. In the salt of nature they make 3 parts, which they call, the body, spirit, and soul. The body out of the earthy part, the spirit out of the watery part, the soul out of the airy part, this he here alludes into. But this is labor and pains indeed. It proves very different to find that universal center, the strength of all, seeing it is sought of many, but laid hold on by few. For such an universal center, of water, earth and air, to speak clearly and plainly, is man, whom God created on the 6th day, as on all center of light, who as their king should rule and reign universally over the creatures. And this spiritual center God makes bodily, over the orderly, cause of nature, by a creation like to his image for his honor, that man for whose sake all things were created in the first 5 days, should be a lord over all earthly things, and God a lord over him. He placed man also in the middle between the uppermost and undermost, he gave him earth and water under his feet, and breathed into him breath through his nostrils as the breathing out 2 lives. This mystery in Hebrew is marked with the breath or air of the eternal word, which is the soul, and the temporal air of life, which is the spirit. And these 2 inspired virtues of life do form in man, yea in every one his own centre, which is a will that always desires the thing from which it ariseth. Out of which two, will and desire, spring the spirit, they suck life from God, and the air of the world. The body out of its own nature desires to eat and drink of his mother nature and earth, thence he hath spirit and body below and soul from above, so he lives as it were, a threefold life, or hath a threefold principle, etc. His spirit or body must be maintained by nature. The natural man lives now out of air, water, and earth two ways, viz. From above, and from beneath. From above, by attracting breath, he uses for his food the spirit or breath of the world, or the air, of the air. And from beneath their flesh, animals, vegetables, minerals, and their blood, water. The world's spirit or breath doth with its salt quicken and feed, not only man's spirit itself, but out of it, or besides that, is also the firmament, and the dissolving virtue of the stomach, and the other parts of the body, whereby all the flesh and blood of the greater world are easily dissolved, and their salt is separated thereout, for the preparation of the flesh and blood in the little world, whereby that can be sucked unto, or into by, the hungry parts, but the feed or excrements go away. Again through the head, pores of the body, etc. Knowest thou now, my friend, how to draw out of the under part of ye world, its centre, the salt of nature, or out of the upper part its heart centre, or salt of nature, or knowest thou how to find the central and astral salt of nature united together, and that in great abundance is one thing, viz. In man, so indeed is the wisdom of nature in thee, and thou canst with this light see through and over whole nature. Dost thou once know the little world well, nothing in the great world should hereafter remain unknown to thee. Therefore did the old Egyptian physician always call and write, Know thyself, and the Grecian schools, through mistake understood this morally and therefore nailed it over their church doors. O seeker of natural wisdom, findest thou nothing of these things, which thou seekest, in thyself, much less wilt thou find it out of thyself. Understandest thou not yet the nobleness and power in thine own dwelling? Why dost thou then trouble thyself to increase after outer things? In man, that is named according to God's name, lies more and royaler things than in the whole greater world, and when anyone desires to be master in the knowledge of nature, there is truly nowhere better matter to be found for his masterpiece, than in himself. Therefore I will here follow the Egyptians and out of a true heart with grounded experiment call to my loving neighbor, O man, know thyself, in thee lies the treasure of all treasures, thou enjoyest in the air the breath of the firmament which that wonderful star sucks out of the light of this upper water and hath drawn it out in the middle air where it lets itself be thick-kned with the air through the motion. Thou, O man, through the air enjoyest the breath of the earth and water both united into one, and unwitting by jettest, one thing out of all these wonderful virtues, which by us who are experienced and knowing, is called the great wonder of the world. It is a true water, and fire, water, yea more than all fire, air, earth and water, for it dissolves and radically reduceth mature and exceedingly fixed gold into its first crudity, and reduceth it into a black fat earth, thick slime, salt and water, without fire, force or aridity, which no other thing in the world can effect. Nothing is shut up from it, and though it is clear by the most costly thing in the world, yet can the king have no more than the beggar. This have the wise sought and found, hereof hath Hermes set out his 28 books which yet lie preserved unfalsified by the wise in the other part of the world. And have been seen by myself, this you have also sought, my friend, in all sorts of things, but have perhaps not as yet known its spelunca, neither know how it will look when you see it. It is, I will clearly speak, a spiritual water, a watery spirit, and a water of temporal life, which Adam and Eve had and let it came to aftertimes by their children. O noble, O sweet water! O despicable! O dark! O bitter water! Which strengthens us until death. O child of man, do once thine eyes open, love God, and thy neighbor heartily, be submissive and meek, so will the Lord favor thee, and enlighten the darkness of thy mind. I have herein truly shewed thee the way, and will yet add this over and above. The world wherein the highest and next matter of the wise for the finding out their masterpiece is man. The spelunca, the cave therein, that 10th hole or hollow, and that brass, that best and worst, that costliest and slightest, water, air, and earth together, and yet none of these alone, but a son and seed of these three, most pure body, soul and spirit is born in man for his good and need, and is called Sessa, Tessa/Lessa. Canst thou find it, through God's grace, and thine diligence, then separate the clean from the unclean, and make without fire or addition of any other thing the virgin earth, without taste, smell, or color. Get hereout and separate the central salt, the vitriol of the little world, the philosophical Venus, and the astral salt, the mercury of the little world, the philosopher's Luna, purify them and beget thereout a son that is better than his parents. So shall you see why quicksilver is so wonderfully marked by the Egyptians, viz. Under with the mark of copper and above with the mark of silver. The astral or upper salt is very volatile, sweet, and shines as fine silver, and it is also no other than the silver of the wise, and a saline mercurial spirit. The central salt is a vitriol of wonderful and unspeakable virtue, which can coagulate the quicksilver, and make it into fine silver, but Venus lies in a saturnine leaden-colored garment, which must be taken of it, when man will see its beauty. Out of both these two salts of nature are all the metals generated, and it goes in the great world as in the little world. Here have you metals in your body, mineral work in your body, and canst make hereof gold, silver, quicksilver, copper, lead, etc. without addition. Out of these with suitable fire I have seen the medicine of sick animals, vegetables and metals prepared, concerning which there are so many 100 books in print. With a little of this regenerated salt of nature, I have made many of the superior metals into gold and silver. The salt of nature out of my matter, when it is regenerated by the artist, performs as much as the old wonder and masterpiece hath at any time done. He that hath knowledge of God's wisdom in nature will examine himself by the excitement of my small writings, so he will keep himself from all charges and greater trouble. If he find the 10th hole or hollow, so will nature sand by him, of herself, without saying a hand thereon, that he obtain possession of the wonderful earth. Let him only look well to it and heed will the work of nature, for it is mean, light, easy and without charges. Some understand the mercury of the philosophers is the very regenerated salt of nature, or philosopher's stone, which is not so. I go no farther than the philosopher's mercury, because this little book I intend shall serve for those use that seek wisdom, not for those use that seek money. Therefore, learn, first the wisdom for your soul, when you find that, it will after go well with you, and your hope will not be in vain. If you find man's natural center, so will the true operation follow according to your desire. Therefore follow my own experience. If you have not a mind to hear/err with the great multitude, if you please, read other authors, and see how dark they are. None hath at any time so open by brought to day light the clearness of man's wonderful matter. But will any one write what is better, well we would gladly see it, and will receive with great thankfulness the further opening of the wisdom of nature. And will the doctors, learned naturalists, and experienced chemists deride me, because I have named man, the world, the 10th hole or hollow, the Venus mine, my Tessa or matter, salt of nature, and the masterpiece, unproperly called the stone of the wise, the regenerated salt of nature, I shall not at all regard it, for I have received the truth from God, and do with good will impart it, and care not at all for the curse of the philosophers, for I have not learned out of their books. God gives the wise their wisdom, and the understanding, their understanding, he reveals that which lies deep and hid, he knows that which lies in darkness, because pure light is with him. I thank thee, and praise thee, O God, my Father, that thou hast lent and revealed unto me wisdom and strength, for which I have prayed unto thee. O Lord, enlighten also the eyes of thy other children, that they may see and praise thee to the one threefold revealing God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, from whom alone proceeds light, truth, and wisdom, be given praise, honor, and thanks, now and forever. O think upon me, my God, always, for good, help me thy servant, out of thy grace, for Jesus Christ's sake. Amen.